What if I told you that one of the biggest threats to your kidneys might be sitting in your kitchen right now? Not alcohol, not painkillers, just sugar. Most people never think about their kidneys until something goes wrong. The problem is, by the time symptoms finally show up, a huge amount of kidney function may already be gone. In many cases, more than 70 trum. Here's what makes this so concerning. Your kidneys work around the clock, filtering nearly 50 gallons of blood every single day. They never take a break. And every time excess sugar enters your bloodstream, those tiny filters inside your kidneys are forced to work a little harder. The surprising part? Research suggests that removing added sugar for just 30 days can begin changing that story. The first few days may be uncomfortable, but deep inside your body, your kidneys could already be getting the break they've needed for years. Most people think sugar only affects blood sugar levels. The truth is, it affects your kidneys too. Every time you eat something loaded with sugar, your bloodstream fills with extra glucose. Your kidneys have to deal with that excess. They filter it, process it, and try to keep everything balanced. Once in a while isn't a big deal, but when it happens day after day, year after year, the workload starts adding up. One of the earliest changes is something called glomerular hyperfiltration. That's a fancy term for your kidneys filtering more blood than they should. It sounds like they're working better, but actually it's the opposite. Think about a car engine running at maximum RPM all day long. At first, everything seems fine. The engine still works, but the extra strain slowly wears it down. That's exactly what can happen inside the kidneys. The scary part is that kidney damage is often silent. You don't feel it happening. There may be no pain, no warning, no obvious symptoms. Meanwhile, the tiny filters inside your kidneys are dealing with constant pressure that they were never designed to handle forever. If you've ever tried cutting out sugar, you know the first few days can feel rough. A lot of people get headaches. Some become irritable. Others feel tired, restless, or start craving sweets constantly. It's easy to think something is wrong, but in many cases, your body is simply adjusting. For years, your brain may have been used to frequent sugar spikes. When those quick bursts of energy suddenly disappear, your brain has to adapt. That's why cravings can feel surprisingly intense during the first 72 hours. I remember talking to people who said they couldn't stop thinking about desserts, soda, or snacks during those first few days. Then something interesting happened. The cravings slowly started fading. While all of this is happening on the outside, something different is happening inside your body. Your kidneys are no longer dealing with the same flood of excess sugar. The pressure on their filtration system begins to ease. You may feel uncomfortable for a few days. Your kidneys, however, are finally getting a chance to slow down. And sometimes, that small change is where the healing process begins. One thing that surprised me when I started learning about kidney health is how quickly the body can respond when sugar intake drops. After just a few days without added sugar, some important changes begin happening behind the scenes. Compounds called AGEs, which are linked to aging and tissue damage, start decreasing. That means less stress on the kidneys and less wear and tear on the body's filtration system. Your blood also becomes easier for the kidneys to manage. They aren't constantly dealing with the same flood of excess glucose. The workload starts to ease, and those tiny filters can do their job more efficiently. Around this time, many people notice something else. The cravings aren't as intense anymore. That constant urge for sweets starts fading. Instead of riding a roller coaster of sugar highs and crashes, energy begins feeling more stable throughout the day. It's not that you suddenly feel perfect, but many people describe feeling calmer, more balanced, and less dependent on quick fixes. And while you're noticing those changes on the outside, your kidneys are quietly benefiting on the inside. Most people have never heard the word nephron, but these tiny structures are some of the hardest working parts of your body. Each kidney contains about 1 million nephrons. They're the microscopic filters responsible for removing waste, balancing fluids, and keeping your blood clean. Without them, your kidneys simply couldn't do their job. The problem is that excess sugar puts these filters under constant pressure. not all at once, not overnight. It happens slowly, little by little, over many years. I like to think of it like a coffee filter. Pour water through it, and it works exactly as it should. But imagine pouring sticky syrup through that same filter every day. Eventually, it starts clogging, weakening, and losing efficiency. That's very similar to what can happen inside the kidneys when sugar levels stay high for years. The nephrons are forced to work harder than they were designed to. Over time, some become damaged. Others stop functioning properly. What makes this dangerous is that you usually don't feel it happening. The damage can build silently for years before symptoms finally appear. By then, a significant amount of kidney function may already be gone. That's why chronic kidney disease often seems to come out of nowhere. In reality, the process may have started decades earlier, through thousands of small daily habits that never seemed like a big deal at the time. When people think about high blood pressure, they usually blame salt. But sugar has a role in the story too. Every time you consume large amounts of sugar, your body releases more insulin to help manage it. Over time, higher insulin levels can signal the kidneys to hold on to extra sodium and water. That's where the trouble begins. When the body starts retaining more fluid, blood volume increases. More fluid means more pressure inside your blood vessels. For many people, that can contribute to rising blood pressure. You might notice swollen fingers, puffy ankles, or feeling bloated for no obvious reason. Those signs are easy to ignore, but they can reflect how hard the body is working to maintain balance. The kidneys feel that pressure too. Their delicate blood vessels are constantly exposed to the extra strain. Year after year, that pressure can gradually damage the system that keeps your blood filtered and healthy. The encouraging part is that many people notice positive changes after a few weeks of cutting back on sugar. Water retention often decreases. Bloating improves. Blood pressure may become easier to manage. The body starts finding its balance again. It's almost like turning down the volume in a room that has been too loud for years. Everything becomes a little calmer. And for your kidneys, that calmer environment can make a real difference over time. When people talk about kidney stones, they usually blame salt or not drinking enough water. What many people don't realize is that sugar can play a role too. Here's why. A diet high in added sugar can cause your body to release more calcium into the urine. When that happens, tiny crystals can start forming inside the kidneys. At first, they're microscopic. You'd never know they're there, but over time, those crystals can stick together and grow into kidney stones. And trust me, anyone who's ever had a kidney stone knows it's not something you want to experience twice. The tricky part is that it isn't just soda causing the problem. Candy, desserts, sweet coffee drinks, energy drinks, and even some fruit juices can load the body with more sugar than people realize. What surprised me most is how quickly things can start improving when sugar intake drops. Within a few weeks, the urine environment often becomes healthier. The conditions that help stones form become less common. After 30 days, you're not just reducing sugar, you're giving your kidneys a better chance to stay clear of the buildup that can lead to years of discomfort and repeated stone problems. One of the most encouraging things about the human body is that it always tries to heal when researches body data given the opportunity. Your kidneys are no different. Now, that doesn't mean severe damage suddenly disappears. But when excess sugar is removed, many of the daily stresses placed on the kidneys begin to ease. Inflammation starts coming down. The environment becomes less hostile. I like to picture it this way. Imagine a road that's been overloaded with traffic for years. Day and night, cars keep pounding the pavement until cracks start appearing everywhere. Then suddenly, the traffic slows down. For the first time in years, repair crews can finally get to work. That's very similar to what happens inside your kidneys. When sugar is no longer constantly pushing the system, the kidneys can focus less on surviving and more on recovering. One of the early signs is a reduction in protein leakage into the urine. That's important because protein in the urine is often a warning sign that the filtration barrier has been damaged. As inflammation decreases, that protective barrier can become stronger and more stable. The kidneys aren't working as hard, and that extra breathing room matters. Healing doesn't happen overnight. But many people are surprised by how much progress can begin once the constant overload is removed. If there's one reason to take sugar seriously, this might be it. Diabetes remains one of the leading causes of kidney failure in the United States. Every year, countless people end up needing dialysis because years of high blood sugar slowly damaged the tiny blood vessels inside their kidneys. The scary thing is that this process often happens quietly. There may be no obvious symptoms for a long time. Meanwhile, the kidneys are gradually losing their ability to do the job they were designed to do. That's why reducing sugar can be such a powerful step. When you cut back on added sugar, your body often becomes more sensitive to insulin. In simple terms, it can handle blood sugar more efficiently without constantly demanding higher insulin levels. This matters because better insulin sensitivity may help lower the risk of progressing from prediabetes to type 2 diabetes. And preventing diabetes means protecting the kidneys from one of their biggest long-term threats. I've heard many people say they thought sugar only affected weight. The truth is, it goes much deeper than that. Every step you take toward better blood sugar control is also a step toward protecting your kidneys. And for many people, that protection could mean avoiding serious complications, dialysis treatments, and a future they never saw coming. When people cut back on sugar, they usually expect weight loss or better blood sugar. What they don't expect is how much better they start feeling. Overall, a big reason is inflammation. Too much sugar can increase oxidative stress inside the body. Over time, that stress creates chronic inflammation. You may not feel it directly, but your organs do, your blood vessels do, and your kidneys definitely do. When inflammation stays high for years, kidney tissue becomes more vulnerable to damage. It's a little like rust slowly forming on metal. You don't notice it at first, but eventually the damage starts showing. The good news is that when sugar intake drops, inflammation often starts coming down too. Markers like CRP may improve, which is a sign that the body is becoming less inflamed. Many people notice benefits that seem unrelated to kidneys. Their skin looks clearer, headaches happen less often, energy becomes more steady throughout the day instead of crashing every few hours. I've heard people say they simply feel better without knowing exactly why. That's often what happens when the body isn't constantly fighting inflammation anymore. And while you're enjoying those changes, your kidneys are benefiting too. Less inflammation means less stress, better protection, and a healthier environment for long-term function. So, after 30 days without added sugar, what actually changes? For many people, several things begin moving in the right direction. Blood pressure often becomes easier to manage. The body tends to hold less excess fluid. That means less strain on blood vessels and less pressure on the kidneys. Protein leakage in the urine may also decrease. That's important because protein showing up in urine is often one of the earliest warning signs that the kidney's filtration barrier is under stress. The kidneys may also become more efficient at filtering waste. They're no longer dealing with the same constant sugar overload, so the system can operate more smoothly. Some people even notice subtle changes in their urine. It may appear clearer or more consistent, reflecting a healthier balance inside the body. But here's the most important thing to remember. 30 days is not the finish line. It's proof of what's possible. Think of it as a test drive, a chance to see how your body responds when you remove one of the biggest sources of daily stress. Once people experience the difference in their energy, cravings, and overall health, many decide they don't want to go back to their old habits. Because the benefits don't stop at 30 days, they're just getting started. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this. Your kidneys work incredibly hard for you every single day. Most of the time, they do it quietly. No complaints, no warning signs. Just non-stop work to keep your body alive and healthy. The good news is that protecting them doesn't always require something extreme. Sometimes it starts with one simple decision: cutting back on sugar. An occasional dessert isn't what causes problems for most people. The real danger is the daily habit. The soda every afternoon, the sweet snacks every night, the constant overload year after year. That's why I love this message. Moderation protects. Elimination heals. If you found this video helpful, please support Hidden Organ Secrets by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who cares about their health. And before you go, leave a comment below. Have you ever tried giving up sugar for a few weeks? What changes did you notice? I genuinely love to hear about your experience. Your story might help someone else take that first step toward better kidney health.